from the soul with it. So I was listening to ESPN LA radio with Keyshawn Johnson and Travis Rogers, and they were talking about a report by Adrian Wojnarowski stating that the entire Houston Rockets roster was available, including Chris Paul, James Harden, and Clint Capella. So that's when Travis Rogers mentioned how after the news dropped, that's when the noise and the chatter began of, hey, maybe Chris Paul can officially be a Los Angeles Laker. So that's when Keyshawn Johnson instantly interrupted Travis Rogers and was like, yeah, but there's nobody on that Rockets roster that the Lakers can use. And here's Keyshawn Johnson's exact quote. He says, there's nobody really on the Rockets that the Lakers can use to swap out any of the young players. Chris Paul is 1,000 years old and has a $124 million contract over the next 3 years, and that's a lot of cash flow. Now, if he would have signed with us and he had that deal in place because he was a Laker and he would have won a championship and we did him a Kobe Bryant favor, that's a different story. But when you look at James Harden for LeBron James, why would we want your problem? Because he's not going to all of a sudden stop playing ISO ball because he's in a Laker uniform. So that's when Travis Rogers responded by saying, yeah, well, he's a lot younger than LeBron James, of course. And Keyshawn Johnson was like, nah, blah, 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 or whatever. So that's when Travis Rogers went on to talk about his biggest fear is the Lakers striking out in free agency on all the top players, and they end up with nobody and trading for Chris Paul just to please LeBron James. So that's when Keyshawn Johnson kind of reminded Travis that the Lakers hasn't done anything to please LeBron James thus far, or haven't done anything, clearly hasn't done anything to accommodate LeBron, and they didn't even sign Tyronn Lue. So they're not going to start now by just trading for Chris Paul. So if you guys would like to hear the full audio, the link is in the description box. Now, I have to agree with Keyshawn Johnson. There's nobody on that Houston Rockets roster that the Lakers can use except for one person, in my opinion. But I'm not giving up my young players for him, and that's PJ Tucker. I really liked his aggressiveness, his defensive tenacity, his hustle on defense, and just the way he guarded Kevin Durant in that Warriors series. I was really impressed by PJ Tucker's defense because you're not going to stop a player like Kevin Durant. You're just not. He's just a great player, overall great player. So you can't stop a player like Durant. You can only limit him. I like how physical Tucker was with Durant, and I could just see his veteran leadership just being great for our bench. And from what I read, a lot of people were upset that PJ Tucker missed the all-defensive team, and analysts felt like he should have made the all-defensive team. I just think PJ Tucker played great defense in that Warriors series. I didn't watch him during the regular season to understand why people were upset, but just based on what I'm hearing, it validates trading something for him. Like, I wouldn't give up much for him, but other than that, we good. It's just a bunch of older players on that Rockets team on the way out the door. As far as Chris Paul, well, I mean, you can add Chris Paul to that list because he's just about on his way out of the door. But a lot of times, I don't even be wanting to report these topics because it's the same topics over and over. And I'm just getting tired of hearing about Chris Paul with the Lakers. It's like we just got finished talking about this a couple months ago, and as soon as it reports the Lakers and Chris Paul, this connection comes back up. And at this point, I'm like, when the NBA vetoed that deal in the past, I'm just over it. Chris Paul still had a chance to sign with the Lakers in the offseason. I was over it then. It was just no point of even talking about it no more, and I'm through with it. They vetoed the deal. Let's move past this Chris Paul thing. And despite what people say about Chris Paul, he's a phenomenal player, but he's getting older. He gets injured a lot, and he's just not what he was years ago. I'm not trading anything for Chris Paul. I would rather have Rajon Rondo, and Rondo's on his way out the door. But the whole LeBron, D-Wade, Melo, and Chris Paul banana boat, the banana boat has officially expired, okay? As far as James Harden, I've never been a huge James Harden fan, period. I've always felt that James Harden, Russell Westbrook, John Wall, LeBron James, I felt like their games is very similar, and it's blacktop basketball. And me, in my honest opinion, I just felt like all of them are overrated. They never really show up in crunch time, they ball hog, and they only pass the ball to pad their stats, and the media just overly praised them. I wouldn't even want to pair Harden with LeBron. They both play absolutely zero defense at all, and it would just be so many defensive schemes you could use to stop them. The Rockets wouldn't even trade James Harden for LeBron, especially this LeBron. But if I had to choose between having James Harden or LeBron, I would obviously take Harden. He's younger and he could still score at a high rate, and I would just add some defensive weapons around him to mask his defensive weakness, you know. But James Harden is not a player that I'm craving for. The only player I want on the Lakers is Anthony freaking Davis, because he's the only player that I think helps put the Lakers in championship conversations. And as Travis Rogers stated, the fear of the Lakers striking out in free agency is a huge risk. So I fear the same exact thing. So you have to take that into account. So I feel like the Lakers have to trade that 4th pick in order to attract a marquee free agent this summer. But all in all, if Chris Paul was free, I wouldn't even want him on the Lakers at this point. And the Rockets, they could just keep their entire roster over there. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all get in that comment box, like, share, subscribe. I'm out.